Going to get going. My name's Matt Syverson. I'm the founder and senior wealth advisor at Sound Stewardship. And digital estate planning is a big topic that we talk about. And so we brought in Brent Kellenberger, who's an amazing attorney, estate planning attorney. There's lots of different types of attorney. Brent is not only amazing, but also an estate planning attorney. And he does a lot of work with our clients to get everything situated the way it should be for their estates. We've worked with Brent a long time. He's been an attorney for a long time. But one other cool factoid for Brent is he also administered nursing homes. As well as charitable foundations. So he gets the charitable side of the estate world, he gets the elder law side of the estate world, and he gets the regular blocking and tackling of the estate world. So today, even though Brent and I are both from the 1900s, we're going to talk about digital estate planning, and it's going to be amazing. You're going to learn some new words today, some new techniques today. You're going to learn some steps to get things taken care of. So, Brent, welcome. Any opening comments from you, Mr. Kellenberger?
Thanks, Matt. No, nothing except that I want to point out that I've worked with, a fair number of different financial advisors in the metro area and beyond. I practice in Arizona as well. And one of the interesting things is that this topic is really important, but a lot of people have not gotten burned yet. And so what I've seen, not that this is about putting a plug in for sound stewardship, but of all the financial advisors that I have worked with, sound stewardship is on the leading edge. They're talking about this, checking on this,
Yeah.
knowing what it is, more than anyone else. And I think that you guys are doing a good job of being proactive because other advisors in 5, 10 years, as clients start having these issues, they're going to be saying, Brent, what do we do about this? Or how do you help us with this? And you guys already know. So good job on that.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. I appreciate that. I did not pay Brent to share that, but I really appreciate that. And that's why it's great to work together as a team with the estate planning attorney because they need to do all the legal stuff. We identify things as the financial advisors that need to be worked on, but we can't always do everything. So it's great to be in a team, along with adding the CPA for tax work. It's just a nice professional team that we can get around you. So as a testament to me, us coming from the 1900s, for those of you that noticed the slides were in a different view, thank you. Thank you for helping me figure that out. I really appreciate the support. And so let's get into things here where we're going to start talking about just estate planning in general. So, pop quiz, Brent. What percentage of Americans have a will? Not don't have a will. We commonly hear that, but what percentage of Americans have a will?
Yeah, actually, I looked at this slide
Oh, okay.
but but the number has been pretty steady for a long time of around 30%. And so we'll see how I did on that. But
Yeah, all right.
um, the
Pretty
31,
close.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
31% have a will. That means there's a lot of folks that don't. And how about have a trust? So let's call revocable trust in this particular case. How many have a
Yeah,
revocable
I
trust?
yeah, I think it's 10, 12, something
Yeah,
like
there you
that.
go. 11%. Okay. So there's still most adult Americans need an estate plan in place one way or another. Whether you do a will-based plan with beneficiaries or you do a trust-based plan with a pour-over will and appropriate beneficiaries, you need to do something. So that's just the public service announcement for today. If you don't have your estate plan in place, that's going to be the foundation of all the stuff we're about to talk about to make sure all the digital estate planning works as well as possible. Okay. So speaking of that, Brent, what is this digital asset business we're talking about? How would you define digital asset?
Yeah. So what I've got here is it's basically the actual um, media, such as the email, the social media account, what's on the social media account, digital photos, music, movies, cryptocurrency would fall under that,
Mhm.
cloud storage, the photo apps, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and frequent flyer miles can be
Sure.
digital, fall under that. So it doesn't
Yeah.
include, the computer itself, the cell phone itself, but all those
Okay.
things that are on there.
Yeah. And sometimes as you were going through that list, I was in my mind going check, 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 check. Yeah, I have all those things at some level. And so um, what we want to make sure is those things need some direction as well, whether we're incapacitated or pass away, but nobody knows what to do about it. So what we figured out through attorneys like Brent is that your estate plan can actually address what to do with all this stuff, that really anything that has a username and a password, right? It's all those things that have a username and a password. The estate plan can cover those things. And what Brent's taught us how to do through his documents that he creates for our clients is you can put the ability to manage your digital assets in the power of attorney documents. You can, so your powers of attorney while you're living can manage those assets for you. Remember, powers of attorney go away once you've passed. So then your trustee of the trust can have instructions. Yes, well, I've given you instructions, future trustee, to take care of my digital assets. If you use a will, then it's your executor. So kind of power of attorney, trustee, and executor, kind of three big titles. Those are the three big roles that we're talking about here with a good estate plan, right, Brent?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Executor tends to be the one you want to avoid if you can,
Yeah.
by use of the trust or the power of attorney, but your executor can go to court for you and get
Yes.
the permission he needs.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of permission, we've got a new word for you. You can impress your friends and neighbors. Rufata. Rufata is your new word for the day. The Revised Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act. Isn't that amazing? That is fantastic. Brent, what does Rufata do for us here on the call?
Yeah, so Rufata, there's really a three-tiered system here. When someone dies or becomes incapacitated, and suddenly the family, first they go after the bank accounts, right? We need to make sure we get the bills paid, get the rent check out, the mortgage paid, etc. But then shortly after that, there's all these other things that are, and sometimes, even the banking is online and it becomes an issue. Just happened to a friend of mine. So the importance of, obviously knowing passwords and having them in a safe place and having the right people in charge is important, but this three-tiered system is there so that people don't permanently get locked out from their loved ones' digital assets. And and the top tier is similar to a beneficiary form. If you work with sound stewardship, you may have an IRA that's being managed by them. And on that IRA, you probably have a beneficiary listed. It might be your spouse, your kids, it might be your trust.
Hmm.
Probably should be your trust. But regardless, when you're gone, that money will port to wherever the beneficiary is. And it's similar. Matt is going to run through some of the ways you can basically set up a beneficiary. It's not called a beneficiary, but it's similar in that you can set up your each account so that there's a specific person on there that has access to it and control of it if you become um, deceased or incapacitated. So that always trumps everything else.
Hmm.
Then if you don't have that person set up, and that's me, I'm not a millennial. I'm too old to be a millennial, and I have not gone in and put a person on all these accounts, like Matt's going to show you how to do. And so the fallback would be my trust, and or my power of attorney. And in my
Hmm.
power of attorney and trust, there's a provision about digital assets. And Rufata speaks to what these digital assets are and uh, gives legal authority for people to set up trusts and powers of attorney so that that agent or trustee can go to Google or Facebook or United Airlines and be able to access those digital assets. So that's really the second tier is the giving the power to someone through a trust or power of attorney.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at, and most of my clients are there. And
Yes.
then the third tier is if you haven't done any planning at all, you're left with the Rufata Act itself. And thankfully it's there. And it tries to strike a balance between privacy of individuals and giving access to people who you probably wanted to have access. But it's one of those acts that it's a compromise, and some people would say it gives too much access at the expense of privacy, and other people might say the opposite. It doesn't give enough access, it's too worried about privacy. These people are dead and we need to get to their stuff.
Yeah.
So that's really the three tiers. You really don't want to have to depend on going to court and having a court decide that Rufata does indeed give you the power to go after Facebook and get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So I think we have a little slide that kind of, in a different way, shares the three tiers. Like tier one is, did you leave instructions on the online tool? Yep. Okay, then you go according to what that online tool allows for. If if not that, tier two kind of comes over here. Did you provide instructions in the estate plan? If yes, okay, then we go here. If not, then it's falling under the custodian's terms of services, the Facebooks, the Googles, the Apples, the Netflix, the whatever, and then you're dealing with Rufata just on the face of it, right? So
Yeah.
ideally, we want you to be able to say yes, either here and or here. And for our
Mhm.
clients, we want to do both and. So we're going to try to do direct on the platform we're talking about, Facebook, Google, Apple. Do that directly in just a moment, but then also have that language in the estate planning documents. It's one of the first things we look for. There's lots of things we look for as we're um, reviewing an estate plan that a new client has, or if a client's getting an estate plan put together and the attorney's not Brent and they've never heard of digital assets, we're looking for, do they have digital assets in their estate plan from days gone by or as they're currently put it together? And if they don't, we'll say, excuse me, we're not attorneys, but we would really appreciate it if you would put this in their documents. They say, oh, sure, yeah. But there are some attorneys that still don't know what even language to use. So we're so thankful that Brent does. So I hope that little diagram with Brent's three-tier explanation really clears up kind of the flow of how all your digital stuff is going to go. Okay, so now here's the exciting part. Everybody, no, don't log into Google, Facebook right now because, but after the call or after you watch this, go to your Facebook account, and then I'm going to go kind of step by step. In that upper right corner, you're going to see settings and privacy. Okay, then go to settings, then go to this account center. And as you know, if you're listening to this in August of 2026, Meta might have moved where the account center is. So just bear with us. It's probably around there somewhere, but this is currently where those settings live. All right. Then as you move through this, then you'll see you click on personal details, then account ownership and control. And if you're saying, my goodness, how many steps are we? And we're not even to the spot of adding someone yet. Then by step 6, that's where you get to whether you can either memorialize your account with another live person or you delete after death. Okay. So what we can tell you is that as you memorialize the account, which means it stays open and after you pass, this is all after you pass now, right? If you're incapacitated, Facebook has no idea, right? But this would still work for the incapacitation, but primarily after you pass. you can memorialize this by assigning basically a Facebook friend. So one little gotcha we've noticed is that um, your buddy who you're assigning, typically a spouse or maybe a younger relative, has to be a Facebook friend. Why? Because then they'd have access to Facebook, right? But the other piece you could do is you can just simply delete after death. You've all seen how um, what can happen after someone passes. Things keep happening on their page that are either fraudulent or nefarious or not good. So you can just shut it down completely and just be done with it. Or one of your trusted Facebook friends, which is probably a family member, can kind of curate what happens with your account afterwards and kind of memorialize it. Brent, was that clear enough or any questions? You're kind of speaking on behalf of the audience. Any questions about that?
No, that was good. One thing, I don't know if it fits best here, but one thing to think about is if I'm sure you have clients that are pastors, maybe an elder at their church, maybe counselors, um, and really all of us to some degree, we're going to have certain information that we might not want even that one person to be privy to. And it's good to be thinking forward
Hmm.
to that day when we're gone, when we might need a specific person to come in and say, hey, there's this one private file in my email or whatever it is, and I've had conversations with people, for example, in the church world, and
Hmm.
they deal with some pretty sensitive things, and
Sure.
um, so it's not always as easy, depending on how you're using a certain mode of media, to just put one person on there and then call it good. You still might need to plan behind the scenes and say, but you need to connect with so and so who, is supposed to delete this or port this over to his own
Yeah.
email or whatever.
Yeah. And we'll get to that a little bit more on the Gmail side of things with today's talk. But yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, so this at least solves the Facebook puzzle mostly. But now we're going to move over to the Apple side of things. Now, for all you Android users, this we love you. You're amazing. It's okay if you don't use an Apple iPhone. Just Apple makes this pretty easy to add a legacy contact, and that's what I have. I think that's what Brent has, right? Is that right?
I did, but I switched away from it. Never been I've never been happy about switching away, but I something made me mad. I
Okay, all
don't
right, all
know.
right. So if you're no longer an Apple user, that's okay. You can just kind of turn off or fast forward this for now. But and think about in your Android world, maybe that provider or that platform has an equivalent legacy contact you need to look into, okay? But for all the Apple nerds out there, you're going to start with the settings when you're giving you that little that's the reminder what that looks like. Okay. And then we're picking on Kristen Schrader, our amazing marketing manager that put all these slides together, by the way. Big round of applause for Kristen Schrader for finding all these steps to do here. But you're going to click on sign in and security. Then on that little tab, if you look down, there's that legacy contact, okay? And then here's where it gets serious, where you're going add legacy contact. So click that big blue button on number 5, and then it's going to walk you through those three things up above. Okay, you're going to choose your contact, and then there's going to be a special access key that that they'll be given, and then you'll be able to pass that down to your legacy contact. Okay, so probably be with that person as you're doing this. Like Kristen might have that for Chris, her husband. Just hey, make sure you get my access key just so I can see you've got that, and away we go. Now, so that I think that's it so for Apple, the legacy contact can do these things with your iCloud data. So that's where think about all those photos, videos, mail, all that good stuff. And then you need the access key to get that. Um, but what it cannot do, can't sign in. Chris can't sign in as Kristen. You can't access your subscriptions or view safe payment information. And a really key thing that I want to point out is if you're a keychain user, that's great. That's a good keychain for those of you who don't do Apple. Keychain kind of your password manager across your iPhone, iPad, iMac, laptop, desktop, whatever. So Keychain makes it pretty easy to follow you whatever Apple device you're using. But then this is where it stops short is if you leaned your ladder up against Keychain for all your password management, and now your legacy contact has no access to that, that's not so good. So we absolutely, as part of this process, want you to use a password manager one way or another. If you're super old school and need to use paper and pencil, fine, make sure someone knows where that is. But uh, okay, if you need to use Excel spreadsheets that are behind a PIN number or password, okay, maybe. But I would get yourself a password manager that you literally pay for. So not the free ones, but to get the ones that you pay for that are really responsible and trustworthy, and lean into that. I'm not saying you can't use Keychain, but just be careful that the password manager you're using can become available to the friends and family that you're willing to give that to down the road. Okay, so some good things about the legacy contact, some drawbacks about the legacy contact, but you got to be just make sure your legacy contact gets that access key. That is the key to getting to your information. And as you know, if you have the Apple, you're reminded kind of every day with pictures, probably one way or another. Pictures are probably the most valuable asset on that phone, don't you agree? Whether you're using Android or not, the photos and the videos are probably some of the most valuable assets on those devices. Okay, good. Then now let's move on to the Google. So if you have a Gmail account, a Drive account, those are probably the two ways that you'd be interacting with Google. Sometimes people don't even realize they have a Google account behind the scenes, but you do. Check into that. So in the upper right corner of your browser, depending on which browser you're using, this is probably Chrome because we use Chrome, but that's your little that's my Sound Stewardship symbol for my profile picture. Okay, you probably have a funner picture than that, but that's mine. So then you click Manage Google account under that, and then down below you'll click on Data and Privacy. Scroll down, and then you'll see this Make a Plan for My Digital Legacy. Okay, and there's a big blue, let's see if Kristen made me a big blue start button. So once you start that, then it'll walk you through a series of questions that you need to be in the know about. So for example, what they're going to ask, and there's no more slides to show on this particular one, so follow me on number 6 over here. What they're going to ask for you first, what they're going to ask for you first of all is, hey, set the period of inactivity. And what this means is after how many months do you want of complete inactivity, do you want Google to tell somebody that, hey, this account is inactive, you need to do something about it. So imagine if you're, Brent and I don't snowbird just yet, but imagine we go down to Phoenix with our families for 3 months in the winter, and we don't do, and we take a fast from Gmail. All right, that'd be inactive. Google is going to say, wait a second, we're going to shut this account down. So you can go all the way up to 18 months. Okay, so just be aware of how you might want to use that. I'd push it out a little bit farther, maybe 12 to 18 months, because Brent will have more input on this, but it sometimes takes 9, 12, 18 months to solve estates and to settle estates. So give yourself more time is the point. Then you can add a trusted contact using their email address. You can actually add up to 10. I don't know that I do 10 necessarily, but at least pick a few of your favorites that will manage this Google afterwards, and away we go. Um, so one thing that we have a guest chimed in a little bit that if you're on an Android phone, it probably uses the Google infrastructure. So this will really apply to you as well. Okay, just a hot tip from the audience. Um, then you can decide what data they have access to, and it is a laundry list of things that if you think about how integrated Google might be in your life, I'm not saying it is, but it probably is. There is a laundry list that I can't fit in the screen that you can click through. And so, um, just to practice what I preach, I did this for my wife Tammy today, and I said, okay, I clicked all the boxes. Tammy can do anything that I can do in my Google account. Okay. Now, as you pick through 9 other people, you can maybe pick and choose what they can have access to. Then they're going to have you review those things and then confirm your choices, and away you go. Now, um, then you have the option to then turn that back off if you're like, whoops, I made a mistake, or I don't like that number 9 person on my list. I can back them out. So you can edit that. None of this is irrevocable. You just got to stay on top of it so you keep the right people in line. So, um, any Brent, any googly questions for legacy contact there?
No, I like it how you said that of the 10 users or up to 10 that you could click boxes for some and not others, though.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hopefully Microsoft has something similar since I use Outlook for all my email.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So what to that point, the next step is to kind of write down what are the kind of the top 5 or the big digital platforms that you're running on, whether it be personally or at work, things like that. If it's at your workplace, coordinate at the corporate level as to how that needs to happen. Personally, what are the top 5 digital accounts you're dealing with, and start with those. We've given you examples of 3, but then pick 2 others that you're fired up about. And even over the Labor Day weekend, when you're not supposed to be working, this is one little thing you can do is pick one of those things and set a legacy contact for that. Okay. Um, so and then the other key thing to do a scavenger hunt on today is, first of all, find your estate plan and make sure you have access to that either on paper in the big thick binder that Brent can give you, or in digital on scanned PDFs. Scan that PDF for, do I have digital assets, and make sure that's in there. If you have an older estate plan, I I just bet you nickel it's not in there. So let's make sure we get that in there. I think Brent, we've been doing this for maybe about 10 years on the digital assets inclusion, something like that. Something like that. So it's a relatively recent thing. Okay. So
Yeah,
now,
my example here, I have several examples, but I'll just do one really quick. Amazon Prime. Michael dies unexpectedly. His trustee Luke needs access to his Amazon Prime to cancel memberships and recurring orders, as well as return deliveries. And Michael has an old estate plan from 2005. So none of the 2005 plans have this stuff in there, probably not till about 2015. So it doesn't say anything about digital assets. All my assets isn't good enough. It's got to say digital assets. And so Michael's plan, Michael didn't do what Matt just walked through. He didn't set up the the people as having access to these different media. And so now he has to go to now Luke has to go to probate court to, you know, go through Rafata and ask the court to that under Rafata he should have access to be able to get into Prime, and then that's going to go to the terms and services. Whatever the last time Michael, without reading all the terms and services, whenever he clicked that, that's going to apply, and that's what Luke is going to be stuck with, and hopefully he can get all those recurring orders from Amazon that are showing up on the porch
yes.
stopped.
Yeah, stopped. Yes. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Just yeah, think think about all those recurring orders that you may have coming. And if you were gone, what's going to keep showing up every so often. Wow. Yeah, we need to be able to get that stopped. Um, One of our guests chimed in. Feel free to send any questions as you wish, folks that are listening. But so one of our guests said, if you set the inactivity period for 3 months or longer, won't it make it difficult for your power of attorney or trustee to access your email? This is the Google side to manage your accounts and receive one-time passwords. Um, since they're working to manage the affairs, if you're incapacitated or managing the estate. So I think the concept is the inactivity manager just says, um, Google is just going to notify whoever's on the list that, hey, something's inactive here, and they'll let you know at least 1 to 3 months ahead of time if they're going to do something about it. So the reason we're out, you can debate me on this, but the reason we're trying to give you more time is because there might be um, we don't want to be too short because you might be on vacation. We can't be more than 18 months. So somewhere in between there, pick the time frame that might feel the best to you. Just trying to, as you're processing an estate, sometimes emails one of the first things you're starting to work on, so it's not going to be inactive. But sometimes you have to do other things before you even get to the email. So we're just trying to give you time so that Google doesn't say, we're shutting this down. We're trying to give you time to let all the other things take shape so that you can eventually spend some time on cleaning up all the Google. Because it'll take some time to, download and extract all the different things when you're dealing with an estate. So thank you for the question. I mean, we can talk later about how many months to add or not add, but you got 3 to 18 is the big window for Google. Okay.
Yeah, if someone's incapacitated and you need to get in there in 3 days, then you can deal with that with their legal documents and with the doctor's letters that say that they're incompetent. But it's really tough. Sometimes you just have to wait for a death certificate. So
Yeah.
you might be waiting 2 or 3 weeks,
Hmm.
and there's not much you can do.
Yeah. So, okay. Um, any other hot tips you've got, Brent, for digital assets that you've bumped into?
No, I think that I have a lot of clients that, as you said, are old school, and they have a list of passwords in the safe or in the safe deposit box that they update regularly. It doesn't work good in the safe deposit box because
Yeah.
you never know when your bank's going to say you must update your password. So
Yeah.
I have trying to keep those updated at least annually is going
Yeah.
to really save you a lot. And this keychain thing, again, as long as somebody knows how to access the keychain, you're probably going to be pretty good if you're an Apple person.
Yeah. Yeah. But prior to them passing, did you catch that? Yeah. So I'd be careful with keychain. That's one of the key things. So okay. We do have a question, but that I'll get to in just a moment. But the other thing we didn't touch on directly today is if you're a big airline miles person and you were a corporate frequent flyer plus traveler personally, you probably have a lot of miles built up that you may not be using. In fact, we have an amazing client who's has over 1 million of airline miles that they can no longer use. Still alive and amazing person, but they're not going to use the miles. So they've got a couple choices during their lifetime. One is you can transfer those miles to other folks and help others in your family or friends literally buy tickets for them with your miles. That's okay to do. You can buy tickets for other people with your miles, no problem. The other thing that most airline mile companies will allow for is you can donate those miles to charities. Okay. So you can donate the value, the economic value of those miles to charities. So think about either blessing friends and family with the miles during your lifetime, or think about I'm out of friends and family, no one's traveling around me, but I'm charitable. Okay, let's get those miles moved on to various charities. Commonly, it's a collection of charities. It's not like you can pick your home church or a smaller one down the street. It's probably going to be one of the big ones, but that's better than just letting the miles fly away. See what I did there, Brent? Okay, a couple other questions. Someone's asking about, do we have a series of steps from Microsoft and Outlook? Not in today's presentation. So we might make that Kristen's homework to track down what do we do for Microsoft and Outlook and all those types of things, or talk to your IT department, or probably the IT department, as to, hey, what happens to my Outlook if I'm incapacitated or something happens to me? Then we will be sending this YouTube video will be posted on our YouTube channel, as well as the slides will be sent out or to the participants today. So then you can kind of click one by one and go through that more slowly than I just did today. But hope that was helpful. And okay, and this just in from my business partner, Jonathan. Microsoft does not have a legacy manager. So, Jonathan, I hope you're right. But it sounds like Microsoft does not have a legacy manager at this time. Maybe if Microsoft watches this video and hears that, it might spur them on to making one. But at this moment, they don't have one. So, thank you, Jonathan, for the input, and appreciate everyone for joining us. Be back next month for more excitement. If you're watching this in the future and have more questions about digital estate planning, you can reach out to Brent directly for the legal aspects of it. You can reach out to Sound Stewardship to help you with some of the practical digital aspects of it. And away we go. So everybody have a great day and stay safe out there.